She stumbled down the hospital steps with trembling legs, the weight of the world pressing on her shoulders and a newborn in her arms wrapped in a faded pink blanket. Her name was Clara. The baby's name was Hope. And neither had anywhere to go. Rain pelted the pavement as the sky wept with her. Clara's once bright eyes, now hollow from sleepless nights and months of fear, searched the street for anything, anyone, that might stop. A cab. A stranger. A kind soul. But no one did. People passed her by, umbrellas tilted high and heads down, as if she were invisible. She had been invisible for months. After her boyfriend vanished the day he found out she was pregnant, and after her parents told her she had shamed them and locked her out, Clara had been surviving on barely enough. A shelter here, a church soup kitchen there. She hadn't felt seen in so long, it had become normal. Then, she collapsed. Right there on the rain-soaked sidewalk in front of St. Anne's Hospital. Her knees buckled, her vision blurred, and she fell to the cold, wet concrete with a cry, not for herself, but for her daughter. She curled protectively around Hope, who whimpered softly, still too new to understand the world was already proving to be a cruel place. Still, no one stopped. Until the sound of expensive Italian leather shoes splashing through puddles broke through the blur of passing footsteps. He was tall, sharply dressed in a charcoal suit that shouldn't have been anywhere near Rain, with storm-gray eyes that locked instantly on Clara's small, shaking form. Without hesitation, he dropped to his knees beside her. "Miss? Are you hurt?" His voice was steady, but gentle. Rich, warm, human. Clara tried to respond, but her lips barely moved. She was dizzy, soaked, and overwhelmed. She felt her arms weaken. "The baby." "I've got you," he said, scooping her into his arms like she weighed nothing. He held the baby securely in one arm, pressing her to his chest. Clara's eyes fluttered open just enough to see his face. She thought she might be dreaming. Angels don't usually wear tailored suits, do they? His name was Julian Carter. A name she didn't recognize at first, because her world didn't include business headlines or magazine covers. But others knew him. Billionaire tech CEO. The youngest philanthropist in the state. Mysterious, reclusive, and standing in the pouring rain with a homeless mother and newborn in his arms. He carried her into the hospital without a second thought. 2 hours later, Clara awoke in a warm bed, dry clothes on her, and her daughter peacefully asleep in a crib beside her. She panicked, she'd never been in a room like this. This wasn't a normal hospital room. It looked more like a 5-star hotel suite. Julian sat nearby, his phone in one hand, coffee in the other. "Morning," he said gently, noticing her wake. "You scared me." Clara looked at him, confused. Why did you help me?" His eyes softened. "Because no one else did." Over the next few days, Julian stayed. He didn't just pay for the hospital care. He sat with her. Talked with her. Asked questions, real ones. Where she came from. What she wanted for her daughter. What she used to dream about before life crushed her. Clara told him everything. She had once wanted to be a nurse. She'd made it to her second year of nursing school before everything fell apart. The pregnancy, the shame, the abandonment, it all changed the course of her life. Julian listened. Really listened. He didn't pity her. He respected her. Then, on the third day, he made her an offer. "There's a small house I own not far from here. It's empty. You can live there for now. Rent-free. No strings. Just, a place for you and your daughter to breathe." Clara stared at him, her voice shaking. "Why are you doing this for me?" He looked away for a moment, then answered softly, "Because once, I watched my own mother collapse just like you did. And no one helped her. I swore if I ever had the power, I'd never let another woman go through that alone. Clara didn't have words. Only tears. Weeks passed. She moved into the small cottage. It was beautiful, with flower beds and a sunroom. Julian had even stocked it with baby clothes, food, and books. She felt like she was living in someone else's life. But she didn't let it go to waste. She enrolled back into community college. Started studying online. Nursed her daughter and studied late into the night. Julian checked in often, but never hovered. He gave her space. Support. And slowly, she began to believe again. In herself. In life. Then came a moment she would never forget. One afternoon, she sat on the porch, rocking hope in her arms, when Julian arrived. He sat beside her quietly for a while before speaking. "You're different now." Clara smiled. "I feel different. I feel alive again." He nodded. "You've done all of this on your own. I only helped open the door." She looked at him, unsure. There was more in his eyes than just admiration. There was care. A silent, deep connection neither of them had acknowledged yet. Months turned into a year. Clara graduated with honors. She was offered a position at the very hospital where she had collapsed, this time not as a patient, but as a nurse. On her first day, Julian showed up with a bouquet of wildflowers and a shy smile. "You're amazing," he said. Clara stepped forward. "You saved my life." He shook his head. "No. You saved yourself. I just refused to walk by." They stood there, neither speaking for a long moment. Then, for the first time since her world had shattered, Clara leaned in, wrapped her arms around him, and whispered, "Thank you." A year later, they stood together again, but this time at the altar, with hope beaming in her little white dress as their flower girl. From brokenness to a new beginning, Clara's journey reminded the world that even in its darkest corners, light still lives in small acts of kindness, and sometimes, in the arms of a stranger who refuses to let another soul be forgotten. And that's how a homeless mother found a second chance, not just at life, but at love, all because one man chose to stop, to see, and to care.